You're listening to the Magnetic Boss Podcast, where badass entrepreneurs come together to share authentic conversations. We're ditching the cookie-cutter approach to building a business and valuing collaboration over competition. I'm your host, Calandra Martin, boy mom, coffee-obsessed coach, speaker, and leader. I help women radiate their brilliance in the online space and create magnetic brands. We are here to have fun, do work we love, and enjoy the ride. Now let's dive in. Welcome back to the Magnetic Boss Podcast. Today I am joined by Tam Veilleux. Tam is the lead visionary of the Energy Almanac, a cosmic chocolate-covered pretzel, red sweet and kind of crunchy, acting as a transformational coach by day, astrologer by night. And you can follow her social media accounts with all of the visual chatter on the alchemy and strategy of creating change at the Energy Almanac. Welcome, Tam. I am so excited to have you on the podcast.
And I am equally excited to be here, Calandra.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about you, how you got to where you are as the visionary for the Energy Almanac and what that looks like.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, I'll make it as short and sweet as I can. Long story short, you don't just wake up one day and be successful. I started my journey following a divorce. I was married 20 years. When I divorced, I had to find a new way to be me, a new way to show up. At that time, I really dug deeply into my own personal spirituality. And it just led me in a whole bunch of directions. I was writing children's books. I did the law of attraction. I was looking at neuroscience and quantum physics. I really, really went deep. And I ended up opening my coaching company. And that kind of was born out of thin air. People kept coming to me and they're like, "You are the happiest person I know. How do you do it?" And that made me a coach. That literally was what brought me into transformational coaching. But from there, I got to this period, Calandra, where I was basically on my knees praying to God, I miss my creativity. See, I had been born an artist. As a little girl, I knew how to draw and paint and color, and I craved it. And my parents were so good to me. They, brought me art lessons and all that. But through life and raising children and being married and having a million different jobs, I lost my creativity at some point, and I knew through my coaching that I was missing my creativity, and I started praying, God, help me return to my creativity. So I went to this crazy little business meeting locally with a friend who's a very good entrepreneur, and I thought she was going to hire me to do some illustration because we had talked about it in the past. And I sat down in her office, and she goes, "Hey, your business wants to talk to you." And she basically unfolded a business plan that involved astrology, which has been a long-term bubbling undercurrent in my life. And it married my artistic abilities and my writing capacity. And next thing you knew, I was publishing a book. I got that first book done in 3 months and out the door. And now the Energy Almanac, my astrology book, is in its third year.
Oh my gosh. I love that story so much. First of all, I love that you were able to kind of, the saying as it goes is find your message within your mess, right? Your mess leads to all of these other things. And I love the personal evolution that kind of came before all of that. And the fact that you were able to then spark that creativity again. I think that so many of us, as adults, we become disconnected from the creativity that we had as kids and the things that lit us up. And what a beautiful manifestation that the Energy Almanac has become from that. So can you tell us more about what the Energy Almanac is for those listening that might have not heard of it yet, and how they can start to look at using that in their businesses?
Yeah, absolutely. The Energy Almanac is my book baby. She is basically bite-sized astrological predictions done weekly. So every week you open the book and you read the article about the week ahead. and you basically know when to zig and when to zag. So for example, in any given week, you might be, the almanac might direct you to tread very lightly inside of relationships because Venus is active in a specific house. It might say this is a great week for business partnerships, seek them out. It will literally direct you into which areas of life are going to be important. Not only are we doing predictive astrology, we give you overarching themes. For example, numerology is a big part of the book. So the numbers that are vibrating, numbers all have a frequency. The numbers that are vibrating across the month leave a trail. They leave a theme, and they have big ideas that are at play. So we let our readers know exactly what the themes might be. And then not only that, in case you're zigging and zagging and it's getting really crazy, we give you a bunch of holistic resources that you can use to sort of bring balance to your life. So, for example, yoga poses that might make you more stable, or a gemstone that you can keep in your pocket or in your hand or on your desk as you're going about your day. So we have nutrition, yoga, we have gemstones, essential oils, which are such a huge industry right now. So many people are leaning in on that. And then the numerology. So it's a very, very robust publication that I put out every year. Yes, I write this book every year jointly with an astrologer. And that's what the book is about.
Oh my gosh, yes. So I will say first and foremost, I got my hands on the almanac for 2019. And it was amazing. It was 2020. I got the book in 2020. My goodness. And one of the things that I love about the almanac is that it is those kind of like bite-sized, like consumable pieces of astrology, because for somebody who doesn't necessarily know everything about astrology, it's a great resource to just have that, the overarching, this is what you need to know. These are the things that are going to help you.
Right. When the whole book was brought to me through this psychic reading, first thing I did was cry because, oh my God, no, I'm not an astrologer. And it is too deep. Astrology is huge. Like the layers, it's like an onion. Like you peel a layer and there's another one. Damn it. Peel another one. Damn it. You keep going. It's deep and big and it's huge. And at the same time, if you take it, like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So if I can just get readers to understand that Venus rules beauty and relationships and love and money, that's enough. You don't have to know what it is when it aspects this or aspects that or lands in that house. You need to understand Venus. And that is one of my gifts, is being able to simplify information for people. I really work hard within the astrology and to work with the astrologer to not use astro speak as much as possible. Because it scares people off otherwise.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I can say, from my own experience, I didn't touch astrology, anything to do with astrology outside of, I was one of those people, preteens looking at my horoscope in the magazines. Mm-hmm. But outside of that, I was not even close to wanting to touch astrology or learn about it because it felt so robust and so overwhelming. So I really think that that's such a powerful aspect of the almanac. And then, of course, pairing that with the holistic resources, and I'd love to dive into this with you a little bit, everything in our lives and our businesses, it is this holistic approach of balancing these pieces and navigating these pieces. And when you pair those with having that insight from the astrology, that's really, really powerful.
It absolutely is really powerful. And I, as a transformational coach myself, really working with people to bring balance to mind, body, and spirit, I think taking a holistic approach is the only way to go. And another thing that is inside of the almanac that I didn't really mention is the journal questions that are in there. So every month I try to give a generative question that will bring an incredible result. So often we ask the wrong question in life. We'll ask like, why me? Why do I stink at marketing? Why am I so bad at sales? Well, as a business owner, when you go asking that question, you're going to get that answer. You're going to prove to yourself every reason why you stink at marketing or sales. So instead, we ask a question, how can sales be easy and fun today? Mm-hmm. I wonder which person wants to connect with me next around business. Who can I serve today? Who can I be a contribution to? So I try to teach clients and inside of the Energy Almanac how to use generative questions to create an absolutely incredible life. It's simplifying your success simply by asking better questions.
Yes. Oh my gosh. This is gold, because we totally, we get wrapped up in our own stories or our own patterns of, well, this just doesn't work for me, or nope, I can't figure this out. And when we ask those better questions and really allow ourselves, especially through journaling, which I found to be such a powerful, element of personal development and of my business, we kind of reprogram ourselves to think differently and to start acting differently in turn.
Absolutely. Journaling is so very powerful. We know through neuroscience that when you handwrite in your journal, you are literally rewiring your brain because you're firing off thousands of neurons at a time. People who I just keep a journal online and I just type it in and I use my thumbs and what, you're texting it into your journal. That is very different because it takes so few neurons to do that you're not really making a deep impact. But on the other hand, when you are shaking because your tears of joy are streaming from your face and you're writing that into your journal, that is true and deep transformation.
Totally. I love that so much. So everybody listening, if you're taking notes, take them on a piece of paper.
Yes, absolutely. That's how this whole journey started for me. I am a visual note taker. It's called graphic recording. So prior to me praying to God to bring creativity back in my life, probably the year before that, I had started to draw what I called moon maps. They were illustrations of the full moon or the new moon or the eclipse or whatever was going to happen. And they involved, sketches of little people and what it meant for the moon to be in Taurus, etc. And I drew those and I actually sold them. And it was a fun little side gig to my coaching. And that was when I'm like, oh, I love doing this illustration. God, bring me more. How do I make this bigger? And that's really what was born of the whole Energy Almanac. So I started by hand drawing notes.
Wow, that's so cool. And such a fun way for you to come about it. But I also know, speaking from my experience, that, many of us are visual learners. So especially with the Almanac, it's one thing to, read your horoscope or to deep dive on Google about astrology. But one of the really great resources in the Almanac is the fact that you do have those visual prompts throughout, every week, what it is that you're looking at and the things that can support you, and then pairing that with the journaling exercises too.
Yes. Yeah. I also wanted to mention, we were talking about entrepreneurship and getting into this journey of entrepreneurship. I want to say that, one thing about astrology, knowing your birth chart is so urgent because we're here to evolve. We're here to grow. And, you don't always get it right the first time. I'm in my 50s now. I have had something and I'll lose count, it's something like 22 businesses prior to this one.
Yeah.
I've been an entrepreneur my entire life, and I would just try something. And if it didn't go as far as I needed it to go, drop that, pick up another ball, run with that down the court. If that doesn't fit, I'm going to try something else. And I just kept trying and trying and trying until I found my truly passionate purpose, the reason I was put on the earth. And I will even go so far as to say that when I finally had a really, really good astrology reading done right after the almanac was given to me psychically, everything was in my birth chart. It all said, my birth chart literally says, you are here to be a publisher. You are here to be writing, communicating, and leading other people to this.
Oh my goodness.
It was crazy. It blew my own mind. Astrology continues to blow my mind all the time. And from a spiritual perspective, I will say this, Calandra, and I don't know exactly how spiritual your audience is, but I will say this. I cannot believe that a benevolent God put us on the planet to flounder. The answers to everything are there in numbers and in symbolism. It's there. And what is astrology? Nothing but numbers and symbolism. So the answers are in front of you. If you will look at your birth chart, I actually have done a free report, and it's the six points in your birth chart that you need to know: your sun, your moon, your rising, your north node, south node, and Chiron.
Yeah, I love that. I love the message of like the answers are right in front of us. They're also, always accessible to us. And I think that we often get so busy in our lives, or we have this idea of what our lives should look like, that we force something that doesn't feel true to us, doesn't feel in alignment with us, that we're like, oh no, never mind what my chart's saying, or never mind what my soul is telling me to do, because somebody over here is doing this and I should be doing it too.
Yes.
Yeah,
you're so right. And the charts are also individual. I think, or I believe that astrology is really a series of possibilities laid out for you. You can go left or you can go right, and the astrology will indicate, how that might land. I'll say it like that. Every front has a back. So Venus rules, love, beauty, money, relationships, but on the back side, it can, you can let things get ugly. You can not have abundance. You can wreck relationships. Every front has a back. And that's the thing about astrology. This is not certainties. When I look at my birth chart and I see that I definitely have a life path in publishing, I could have ignored it. And I could have been very uncomfortable ignoring this calling to produce books. Or I could let my soul sing and move in that direction.
Yes, I love that. And I think that something that I also see a lot, especially with entrepreneurs, is that we're almost blind to our brilliance, even when we have everything in front of us presenting, this is your purpose, this is something that you're really good at. We will not even recognize it. And I know that happened for me with my design work and branding. I had to have somebody else reflect back to me, hello, this comes to you really naturally. This is something that you're gifted at. Go down that path, experiment with that, and play with that.
Oh boy, that is such good language. Blind to your brilliance is so real and so true. And I will actually say that, when I was coaching and getting into a point of I need more, I need creativity, I was at that time working inside of a mastermind. And if any of your entrepreneurs out there are not in a mastermind yet, be sure you do that.
Yeah.
Mastermind. I had 3 women, and they pretty much slapped the table with their hands and stared at me. And they're like, you're crazy. Why are you not being creative inside of your business? And that was how the moon maps were born. And then a year after that, the Energy Almanac. They were like shaking me by the shoulders. Look at this. You can draw our meeting notes without even blinking. Why aren't you doing that inside your business? And that opened up an arm of my business. I ended up drawing meetings for people. But anyway, blind to your brilliance is a true thing. Look at your astrology chart and you can find out your natural capacities right inside your birth chart.
Yeah. And, this is such a great conversation because I think it opens up so many possibilities for people. And just, speaking of the world where it's at right now with 2020, the way that it has been, I think that this is a good reminder for everybody that, we really do have our own self-control and ability to open ourselves up to the possibilities. Can you speak to, from an astrological standpoint, the state of the world? I mean, we could deep dive into that for sure, but and where you kind of see things shifting, or what you see things looking like over the next couple of months.
Absolutely. I would love to talk about that. So hasn't 2020 been cute? 4 keywords that I came to the table with in January based on the astrology that was in the book. rebuilding, restructuring, responsibility, and vision. Those were the 4 words that were going to be the message of 2020. We knew that based on what we foresaw for the year ahead. So the vision piece comes in and of the year 2020. What kind of vision do you hope to have when you're born? 2020 vision. Mm-hmm. So holding a crystal clear vision for what you want personally and for what you desire for the entire planet, for the world, for humanity. Having a vision was going to be very, very important because rebuilding and restructuring were going to be going on. So what happened? Lo and behold, March hits and there's this problem called COVID-19. And all of a sudden we are bound. It's like our hands were tied behind our back, but literally we went under quarantine. Mm-hmm. This is the planet Saturn, which was highly active. Saturn, we started the year in January 2020 with Saturn in Capricorn. Saturn in Capricorn is about big business and government and big institutions. Well, what happened was it retrograded. It went forward into the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius rules freedom and innovation and also groups of people. So Saturn comes in and puts boundaries and limitations on groups of people and our freedom. Does that make sense?
Totally. Of course it does.
Right. So we're like, I want my freedom. But no, Saturn, the big cosmic thumb, is pressing us down and saying, no, we are going to contain you. And so the restructuring of our personal selves begins. I called it a spiritual quarantine. Here we are, we're under lock, I guess I would say we're locked up. And now you have the time to restructure how you do life. Mm-hmm. You have the opportunity to restructure how you do your spirituality, how you do your exercise, your nutrition, how you parent. And you have a new way to look at your business. So Saturn comes in to Aquarius and boom, we are locked up. So then Saturn goes back out of Aquarius and we get freedom again. And we started to experience that in September, right? Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden we're open again, like Saturn is back in Capricorn and here comes business and the economy is ticking upward again. And then the restructuring and the rebuilding has been starting to occur in the economy that we're seeing in September and October and a little bit into November of this year. Mm-hmm. So responsibility comes in with how do you show up during a spiritual quarantine? How do you show up when change is in the air? So personal responsibility for your behavior inside of all of this has been a key issue. And so have we not noticed a lot of reactionary behaviors?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Right? It's been hard to hold our tongue. It's been difficult to come through and still feel normal. And that is a balancing act that we're all trying to figure out. I believe this entire spiritual quarantine has been about our growth and preparing us for what is coming up. And let me step into 2021. Do you have any, I could go a lot further into what's been going on this year, but is that a pretty good overview for 2020?
Yes. No, I love that you have those 4 words for us to kind of anchor into and reflect on, especially for somebody who maybe hasn't been looking at astrology, didn't have the almanac, at their fingertips, to just have that, kind of that confirmation of, yes, 2020 has been wild. 2020 has been unpredictable in a lot of ways as far as what has happened in our day-to-day lives. But at the same time, we're leaning into this, this opportunity, again, is the word that keeps coming to mind for me, of how we show up and how we are being in the process of all of these shifts.
Well said. You really nailed it. And just so that you know, every year I do a workshop, or I'll probably do it as a webinar this year because I can't do workshops. And where I do this, I give a high overview for those who don't want to own the book, and I respect that. They can come to a 90-minute webinar where they will understand the themes of the year ahead. So for 2021, I'm going to share at a very high level what we can expect. The really good news, Calandra, is that we're stepping more fully into the age of Aquarius. So, because of my age, I know that it used to be a song that we all just thought was a song. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. It was a beautiful song. Everybody sang it, but nobody really knew what it meant.
Right.
Unless you were into astrology. So the age of Aquarius is, we're currently in the Piscean age. The age of Aquarius is about a very, again, freedom feeling throughout humanity. Freedom, forward thinking. If it's good for me, it's good for we. It has to be good for all. They're very humanitarian sign. And it's also about innovation and intuition. Aquarius is ruled by the planet Uranus, and Uranus is about change. It's about rapid change. It's about innovation and invisible waves. So your intuition is invisible waves, and electricity is invisible waves, and the internet is invisible waves. AI, AI, artificial intelligence is invisible waves. So the age of Aquarius is going to bring us into a feeling of freedom and peace for everybody. That's really the ultimate goal. So once more planets move into the sign of Aquarius, and that's going to happen over the next decade, we're going to really be in a really beautiful place. So in December of this year, 2020, there's some very big astrological events, one of which hasn't happened for 4,000 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's massive. It's a conjunction between Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. So it's really going to shake things up and move us in a different direction. And I said Aquarius, and I actually meant Capricorn because it's going to lead us into Aquarius. Sorry.
Right.
Excuse me. This big event that's going to happen in December is going to have some big bumps in it because change is difficult. Change needs a little shakeup, and it's going to kind of be a trigger point to move us forward to 2021, where the three keywords for 2021, and they're very easy to remember. They're your ABCs: adjust, balance, co-create. So I purposefully chose ABCs so that everybody could remember it because we're in a really pivotal year next year. It will require adjustments. There are three very big astrological events that will happen next year that are going to require us to be constantly adjusting. Your goal is to seek balance at all times. Don't get locked into the left or to the right. And I'm not talking politically. I'm just saying don't choose up, don't choose down, seek the middle. Don't choose high, don't choose low, seek the middle. Don't choose left, don't choose right, go to the middle. Seek balance in everything that you're doing, and constantly remember that you are co-creating the new earth. Next year, as we're constantly adjusting, adjust for what's better for everyone. You are co-creating the new earth. Numerologically, 2021 is a 5. 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 1 is a 5. 5 is the number of movement and adventure and change. If you think about how a 5 is drawn, you're going laterally, and then you have to do a 90 degree and dip down. And then you're like, oh my God, I'm going to make a circle. Woo! So you can see just by looking at the number 5 that you have to be able to pivot.
Yeah.
And so that is the key thing. And for those who end up looking at and grabbing the Energy Almanac, on the cover is a beautiful tree. And I chose the tree specifically to represent the energy of 2021. You're going to have to be flexible. You're going to have to be able to bend, let go of what isn't serving you, like the leaves on a tree, let go, bend, but stay very rooted and stay very grounded as you co-create and grow. So there you go.
I have goosebumps. I love it all. I love it all. Oh my gosh. So I think that this, I want to be mindful of our time, but I think that the 2021 and everything that you just said really speaks to entrepreneurs as well, because we have to, in our businesses, be able to pivot, be able to change. And that also crosses over into our personal lives and everything that we do as humans. So I love that reminder too, for all of our entrepreneurs listening, that your personal life, yes, is going to change always, always. And so is your business.
That is the truth. We're here to evolve and grow into ourselves. I am not the woman I was when I divorced 15 years ago. And I've actually had people say, you don't even look the same. You don't use the same language. It's crazy. And my children tell me that as well. So yeah, we're here to evolve and grow and to go with that. Be willing to do that. Be the tree.
Yeah, that's the fun of it, right? We get to enjoy the experience. And I like to always, look at how I can be more playful in my life and my business, even when things feel like it's a shitstorm. It's like, well, where's the lesson in this? How can this be more fun?
Absolutely. I love that. How can this be more fun?
Yeah. Well, I just so appreciate you giving us some insight and wisdom and a little bit of a glimpse as to what to expect in the next almanac. So can you tell our listeners where they can find you, follow you, and of course, get their orders in for the almanac once that is ready to launch, which will be live by the time this episode goes out?
Woo-hoo. It is really easy. TheEnergyAlmanac.com. That's the website where you can go and grab the new version of the book. My Facebook, if you type in The Energy Almanac, that will show up. If you go into Instagram, I am The Energy Almanac.
Amazing. And I'll put all of those links in the show notes. For everybody listening, as you are listening to the episode, make sure you take a screenshot of today's episode and tag us both on Instagram so that we can shout you out. And we would love to see you with your almanac as well once you get that in your hands, because it's, first of all, gorgeous.
Yeah. I would love to see, that's my favorite thing. I get a lot of private messages from people with a picture of it on their desk or them in their hand. I love that. So yeah, do that for us.
Yes. Yeah. We would love to see your photos. Well, thank you so much, Tam. It was amazing to talk to you, and we will be back for another episode next week.
Hey, may the sun shine brightly on you. Thanks for having me.